Alrighty, people. How you darn? How you darn? Getting close to the end of the week. Hopefully you're hanging in there and you got some good plans this weekend. I see y'all in the chat. What's up, 369? Daniel Macy, our countdown expert. 42 days until NFL kickoff. And I don't know about you guys. I was pretty shocked when I realized we're about 7 days away from seeing football, as in preseason games. Blew my mind. Maybe I'm the only one, but I was like, oh, wow, right. We're seeing preseason action in like a week's time. It just absolutely blew my mind. I'm honestly excited, but kind of shocked that it's happening. What's up, Parsons? What's up, MMB? I see y'all having a good convo here. What's up, Styles? Welcome in. I see y'all in the chat. I appreciate you for hanging out with me. Do me a favor, hit that like button as today's stream starts. We are going to do a mock draft today, and you guys are going to have an opportunity to join me. We'll be doing multiple mock drafts because last time we were live, I set a like goal, you hit it, and I told you that on today's stream, at minimum, we will do 2 mock drafts for you guys. Okay, so if you want to join today's mock draft, join the Discord. I put the link in the chat. It's also in the description. Once you're in the Discord, look for the Fantasyland football tab in the announcements page. Okay, I'm gonna say right here, gang. Okay, so that's where the link is going to drop for you to join me. Now, we are going to get to that in a second, but there is a new feature that dropped on the Flock Fantasy website that I wanted to just explore. I've never explored this before. We just dropped it. I think it'll be crucial for when we get in season for you guys to get our advice. But if you look at the top right of the Flock Fantasy website, you'll see this little logo I'm hovering over with the little money icon. That is our a la carte store. And let me just say first off, if you're not a member over there, then I would say consider supporting us by becoming a member. flockfantasy.com/land. Use our promo code to get 30% off any membership. If you become a Mother Flocker member, you'll get all the premium tools on the website, obviously all the rankings, the databases, articles. I wrote an article recently about the #1 strategy in fantasy football, and obviously we have so many good content creators on there that you'll get access to. So if you want to support the channel, get consistent rankings throughout the season, win your league, use the promo code LAND to sign up. But beyond that, even if you are a member, you'll get discounts off of the a la carte store. So I'll just show you what it looks like. The team review section is right here on the left. If you have a dynasty or a redraft team that you want us to review, y'all probably know that by now. We've been doing that. But a new feature is the trade question feature. All right, that's just been unlocked recently. Very cool. If you've already synced your league on the website and you've created an account, then you can choose whatever league it is that you want to, ask the question about. Let's say someone sent you a trade for CeeDee Lamb. They're going to give you a Mon-Ra, and they're going to give you, I'm just going to say like Trey Benson or Trey McBride. I don't know. And then you'll send them Kittle. I don't know, right? So you send us exactly what the trade is. You hit continue. Obviously, this is us here, Zach and Badaki, whatever you want to donate. And then you enter in all the details here that you want us to know. And then hit checkout at the bottom right. Now, the only reason I'm explaining this to you guys is because we did get our first submission. And I wanted to just try it out on stream. I've never done it before. So we are going to go ahead and trial this. And then we'll get to the mock draft. Hopefully that's okay, right? So this is Bows. So big shout out to Bows. He did submit this trade question. And this is my first time seeing this. It's all very, very cool. But this is a dynasty league. It's PPR, 1 quarterback, 12 team, start 8, no tight end premium. He says, this would be the first big trade in our startup. I am actually sending a 25 first, not a 26 first, but the tool didn't allow me to select a 25 first. Full trade is me sending Nico Collins, Zamir White, and a 25 first and a second for Breece Hall and Jameson Williams. Would love to hear your thoughts. First thing I will say is overall, I'm not obsessed with the value here. So this is actually it says 25. He said not a 26 first, but it actually says 25 first. Okay, so 25 first, Nico Collins, Zamir White for Breece Hall and Jameson Williams in a 1 quarterback league. Personally, I'm not obsessed with the deal. You can start up to 4 receivers. Nico Collins just got the contract extension, and you're in a startup. The reason that's important to note is because when you finish a startup in a dynasty league, most of your leagues, or your teams in your league, English is tough. Most of the teams in your league are going to be very even in value, right? There's no one who's messed up a trade yet. Everyone's got pretty even teams across the board. And the reason that's important is because anyone's first round pick could be the 101 in the next year. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one's established themselves as a top dog. No one's had the advantage of making good or bad trades. No one's had the advantage of like stacking up on draft capital or injuries that have happened to a team. So, like, let's say you make this trade and then Breece Hall gets injured. Well, you would have lost Nico Collins, a really good receiver just signed to a long-term deal, who finished top 10 in points per game last year. Lost Zamir White, who maybe or may not break out, and then your first-round pick that you're giving up, it very well could be a top 3 pick. So, as much as I love Breece Hall, I don't think I'm willing to pay this price. Now, if you told me that you could keep your first round pick here and maybe you don't get back Jameson Williams, so it's Nico, Zamir, and a second in a 1 quarterback, I feel much better about that. But if I had to just, like, right now tell you, based off of like your startup just finishing, I think that's too much for me to pay personally. Oh wow, it lets me open the trade up here. This is sick. I am hyped to use this in season. Anyway, if you guys have a trade question, this is how you go about it. But to me, I'm going to choose this side. Again, dynasty, start 8, 1 quarterback. I know running back should be more valuable there, but yeah, I think I would counter this personally by removing the first round pick and Jameson Williams from the side you're receiving. Okay, so hopefully that is helpful. I will tell Bowles, I'm pretty sure I already told him that I answered it to start today's stream. I'll just say, just answered it. Check out the beginning of the stream for the link I sent. Anyway, guys, it's a little trial and error right now. I've never done this before. So that's really cool. So anyway, if you guys want if you got a trade question you want answered, definitely take advantage of that feature. And again, you don't have to be a member to ask a trade question, but it does get you a discount. That little icon at the top right there, then here's the trade question feature. All right, you can either choose settings to your league, or when you have your league synced, it will automatically sync up. So I thought that was cool. Wanted to show you guys that. But we are going to get into a mock draft today. I'm going to choose the 10. I don't know. I'll choose the 105 here. And I'll go ahead and send this link out so you guys can join me. Okay, so this link is going out in the Discord right now. Come join us. And no, the mock didn't happen. We're just about to start mocking for today. Just about to get things popping. All right, this is going to be 1 quarterback, PPR, tight end premium to start. And we are almost full here. And we are full. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start this 1 quarterback PPR tight end premium format. And let's get this thing rolling, baby. It's mock draft season. All right, so CMC off the board, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Your boy's on the clock. This is going to be Ja'Marr Chase all day. I noticed from some of the recent videos I've been releasing, there's a lot of Ja'Marr Chase hate out there. Like, certain players people are really upset about or they've been burnt by. And I get it with Ja'Marr Chase. Like, last year, it was a tough year. Joe Burrow was injured. But I think a lot of people are forgetting that we're just a year removed where he averaged around 21 points per game with a healthy Joe Burrow. So I think Ja'Marr Chase is absolutely in conversation with the #1 wide receiver in fantasy type of upside. And I would not be passing on Ja'Marr Chase if he's an option for you. It doesn't, like, I'm not going to take him over Lamb or Tyreek. I might take him over Tyreek. We'll have to figure that out. But for now, I won't. All right, so we see Breece Hall at the 107, then Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Bijan Robinson. Definitely 2 mock drafts today. Yes, the like goal is for a 3rd mock draft. So if we hit 85 likes, we will pop off a 3rd mock draft with you guys. So if you want to see that happen, be a friend, hit that like button. We're already at 25, which is awesome. Love the start from Styles here with Garrett Wilson and Saquon Barkley. That's a crispy start. NMB says, I've been skipping Hill and Chase because I love Waddle and Higgins. Yeah, no, I can see that. Like, I'm skipping on Puka personally because I love Cooper Kupp's value. But I just don't think Tyreek Hill... To me, like, Waddle will never be Tyreek Hill while Tyreek Hill is there. And I feel the same way about Chase with Higgins, but I can respect it for sure. Joel says, Zach, how many more Jaden to Dotson training camp vids would it take to be back in? I don't know that I've ever been out necessarily. I mean, I'm still holding in Dynasty. But I guess, like, if you're, like, to be, like, all in, like, oh, that's the dude, I don't know. 20? 20? I don't know. All right, so this is absolutely perfect. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch my strategy video yet. Again, I really, really appreciate all the love on that video. You guys were absolutely awesome. If you don't know what video I'm talking about, it's the #1 strategy in fantasy football this year. Released it about 3 days ago. Go check it out if you'd like. But to me, the perfect pick here is Kyren Williams to fit the strategy that I'm going for this year, which is anchor round 2 RB. And I feel great about that pick there. So to start with Chase and Kyren, I'm a huge fan of that. There goes Nico Collins off the board. Travis Etienne, honestly, I feel very confident saying this. No one's had a better 1st and 2nd round than Greeny here. I think Travis Etienne's being way disrespected. You know, I've talked about him in a video, again, the one I just released about a day ago. Running backs I'm not going to leave a draft without. And Etienne, he's just the easiest pick, I think. He's like the easiest pick in the late 2nd round, especially if you want to do anchor round 2. We know he's going to be the workhorse. And these are the common things I hear from people who are anti-Etienne. Well, they said they want to get other people involved. They've never done that before, have they? This coaching staff has never said they wanted to get other people involved, have they? Wait, no, that's not right. Last year they did. Last year they said they wanted to scale back his workload, and that's why they drafted Tank Bigsby, right? And then Tank Bigsby goes out and on a per-touch basis, probably the worst running back in all of football. So that narrative to me, I think, is just overused. And the other narrative is, well, he only averaged 3.8 yards per carry. I'm like, yeah, and he finished as a top 3 running back. It can't get worse than what he was in last year. Like, what are you scared of, dog? I think he's an incredible pick. I'm going to grab Debo here as my wide receiver 2. So, yeah, like, to me, I think the overthinking of Travis Etienne is far too much. I mean, his offensive line's bad. Yeah, it was bad last year. It was bad last year. You know, they actually improved it a little bit in the offseason. Style says, hated the 101, but had to grab a spot towards the back end. I like it. How many more mocks for 1 million likes? If we get 1 million likes on any stream ever, I'll stream for an entire week straight. I'll let you watch me sleep. That's weird. Oh yeah, that is weird. That is weird. I'll admit. That's strange to say. Is Marvin being drafted at his ceiling? Probably. I mean, what? Wide receiver 10? I mean, let's be honest. If Marvin has a top 10 season, we're all happy. If he has a top 20 season, we're all not happy. But I just don't see him failing. That's the thing. I don't see Marvin failing. Like, I don't think it's it's a risky pick. And to be honest, most players that you draft in the first and second round, you're probably drafting them at their ceiling. You know what I mean? Like you're drafting CMC at the 101. I mean, you're drafting as the most valuable player in fantasy football. I'm drafting Jamar Chase as a wide receiver 4. If he finishes as a wide receiver 4, I'll be pretty happy. You know what I mean? Like you're drafting Bijan as a RB3. If he's RB3, would you be happy this year? You know what I'm saying? So I think overall, like in general, in the first round, you're typically drafting guys around their ceiling anyway. But I definitely like overall understand the narrative for sure. What's up, Sunraker? Welcome in. Yeah, I do love Puka this year as well. Love Puka and Cup, both great picks. What's up, Zach? I'm Zach. And Zach says, how do you feel about Bijan at the 110 considering the strategy? Feel like Bijan at the 110, you have to take him. Yeah, and one very important thing that I said in that video, which some people decided to skip over and not listen to, was at the end of the day, beyond any strategy, you want to take the best player at every pick. And you don't want to force a strategy. So, like, ultimately, I have strategies that, depending on where I'm on the board, I'd like to execute. But that doesn't mean, like, oh my God, I have to draft Nico Collins or Bijan. So to fulfill this strategy, I'll go Nico, right? Like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So in that video, I also was like trying to be super clear and like, hey, don't be so stuck on any strategy that you end up not drafting the best available player, right? So 100%. There will be leagues where I'm at the 111, and if Bijan's there and I'm choosing between Devontae Adams or Bijan, I'm probably going to go Bijan, you know? You have to let the board fall to you. Ultimately, every strategy, last thing I'll say, every strategy is pretty much determined by your league settings, how many people there are, and the ADP of the site you're on, right? So it's all determined by how the draft goes. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that does make sense. I mean, I've never seen receivers go this high. I've never seen this many receivers go high in our mock drafts. And that's going to change the way I'm drafting. Like, yeah, I like to do anchor round 2. I would like to smash wide receivers here. But I feel like I'm probably forcing a receiver here. Right? I mean, I'm going to go ahead and grab Trey McBride here at the 408. We'll grab a tight end in the tight end premium format. Yeetman sees Etienne's a touchdown merchant. I mean, we quickly forget that the year before last, Etienne was averaging well over 5 yards per carry behind a good offensive line, but that's all right. Christian says, I used to not like Kyren because of the Blake Corum hype, but Kyren is going to stay as a top dog. Yeah, I mean, look, in Dynasty, I think it's fair to scale back slightly from expectations for his career, but this year, even as someone who is worried about Blake, I don't worry about him in redraft. But I will say, if Kyren goes down with an injury, this is the first time since Kyren's been the dude that there's a legit number 2 behind him that could take his job. So that is concerning, obviously. Thanks, babe. Appreciate you. Yeah, a lot of people saying Travis is touchdown dependent. Like we said, literally, we're 1 year removed from him averaging over 5 yards per carry, being one of the most efficient backs in football. But let's not focus on the offensive line at all, right? That's okay. Guys, please keep leaving Travis Etienne on the board for me. I'm begging you. This is now like the third year in a row I've been drafting Etienne as a value. I agree, Styles. I agree. Why don't we draft Ken Walker in round 2? I think overall people are expecting the offense to change. So I think that's probably why. But Ken Walker's great. Look, Ken Walker is like, I think his upside is a little bit tapped, especially because we do expect Charbonnet to have a larger role. And this has worked out beautifully for me. Absolutely beautifully. Because what I wanted to do was grab Alvin Kamara at the 408. That's another running back I highlighted in my video. Running backs I'm going to draft everywhere, basically. So to get Alvin Kamara at the 505 as my RB2, I am thrilled with this start. Yeetman says, why do you draft McBride when you get the same tight end with the same kind of upside? Which tight end are you referring to, I guess? At that pick, if I didn't get McBride, I would have wanted Andrews or Kincaid, and they were not going to be available the next pick. Which one were you referring to specifically there? What's up, Steven? Favorite sleeper quarterback? Well, I'll just say, like, it probably won't happen this draft, but I love drafting Jayden Daniels. Outside of Jayden Daniels, I really think Geno Smith is one of my favorite sleeper quarterbacks. Because I do project that offense to change drastically with Ryan Grubb coming over from Washington. So, yeah, I personally think Geno Smith is a huge sleeper. And I would say, like, specifically in, like, super flex drafts, that's why I'm okay to, like, anchor the quarterback spot and then look for Geno Smith later on. Geekman says any of the top 7. I mean, I don't personally feel that way, that any of the top 7 can be tied in one. I do think McBride is in, like, a group of 5 that I really like. If you feel that way, then, like, I hear you. But there's about 5 tight ends I think have tight end 1 upside this year, and McBride is one of them. You know, a lot of people are comfortable taking Sam Laporta early in drafts, but for some reason they're not comfortable taking McBride. I don't really fully understand it. I think they both have very similar outcomes. And if you look at Trey McBride, who became a starter from, what was it, week 8 onwards? From week 8 onwards, he became the starter after Ertz went down. I believe he averaged like a similar points per game than Sam Laporta. He actually averaged more points per game than Sam Laporta from week 3 onward, or from week 8 onwards. And I don't see a reason why he breaks out in year 2, why he wouldn't be a superstar in year 3. But that's okay. I mean, look, that's why we all draft different ways. I wanted to lock up a guy that I felt had upside that the others didn't. You thought he would have fell? How far are the tight ends falling in your guys' leagues, I guess? I feel like in most of my leagues, the top 4 or 5 are going rounds 3 to 4 or 5. I don't know. You don't need to be sorry. I mean, I feel very good about the pick, but like I said, this is why fantasy is great. Everyone can have different opinions. I really don't like that Raheem Mostert keeps getting pushed up boards, though. Not a big fan of that. All right. Wide receiver's been a little bit ravaged here. Calvin goes at the 601. We'll go ahead and take DeAndre Hopkins at the 608 then. Anytime Calvin goes, I'm thinking, all right, let's see if we can add DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Cooper and Pickens over Higgins makes no sense to me. I mean, I can only speak for myself. I would have Cooper Kupp and George Pickens over T. Higgins as well. Yeah. Bristleton's playing Dynasty. I love that. On college football. I agree, Christian. I think Trey McBride's going to have a huge year again. NMB says McBride over Laporta. I like both of them, man. I like both of them. But yeah, in all my drafts, guys, I'm gonna be focused on locking up either Kelsey, Laporta, McBride, Kincaid, or Andrews, and I want to lock them up in round 4 or 5. That's just the way I'm gonna be operating personally. We're on the clock here. And man, I think wide receiver's about to run slightly thin. So we are going to grab Brian Thomas here. I feel like that's the upside pick for me as the wide receiver 4. All right. I mean, shout out to everybody watching the stream. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, spending your night doing some mock drafts, go ahead and be a friend and smash that like button. We are 16 likes away from 50. So if you want to be a friend and help the channel grow, hit that like button. And if we reach our like goal, we'll do 3 mock drafts tonight. Scribble says, Zach, you're preaching, buddy. People are overreacting to the year 1 breakout for Laporta. I don't see his upside any higher than McBride, Andrews, and Kincaid. Same, like, and that's not to say that, like, I won't take Laporta. Like, Laporta at the 405 as a tight end 2 off the board, I actually think that's pretty good value from 369 here. But Laporta's ADP is ridiculous. Like, Laporta's ADP is a 2nd round pick. That is too high for me. Yeah, Pitts, you know, if you miss out on the top 5, I like Pitts as well. But to be honest, I feel like Pitts is going to go, he went in the 6th round here. To me, I think he's going to go in that range with those guys too. I think you got to get on top of it. Gator says, how would you feel about Puka and Tank being your top 2 receivers compared to Kupp and Dell? Puka and Tank. Puka and Tank compared to Kupp and Dell. I guess you're asking if I prefer... Are you asking if I prefer, like, Cooper Kupp or Puka? Because I would prefer Puka. I'm not sure if that's what you mean. Zach says, it feels like the tight end position is deeper than normal this year, especially with Ingram and Ferguson in the later ends. For sure. Like, I don't personally perceive those guys having... like the same type of upside as the top 5, but I certainly think that they could finish top 5. Like, totally. I think they have a top 5 finish in them. Evan Ingram was a tight end 2 last year. This was a really strange draft, though. Like, the way this all fell was really, really strange. Styles says, is Zamir White this year's Mike Davis? I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, I think Zamir White's actually a good player. You know, former 5-star recruit, finally healthy. And I think more importantly, when he actually had the starting job, he was really good. I mean, weeks 15 to 18 when he was a starter without Josh Jacobs, he was averaging, I think, over 23 touches a game or something crazy like that. So yeah, I'm definitely in on Zamir this year. I think he's a really good 0 RB strat target. Like exactly what 369 did here. Now look, I'm not like the biggest Ramondre Stevenson guy, but I'm a pretty huge fan of the start he had. So Tony Pollard comes off the board there. I was trying to target Jonathan Brooks, but without Jonathan Brooks, I think we're going to go ahead and grab Trey Benson here. And like I said, guys, if you watch the video that I released a couple days ago on the strategies that I want to execute, you'll look at my draft today and say, well, that doesn't look like the strategy you wanted to execute. You're right, it doesn't, because the draft board fell differently, right? The wide receivers were completely ravaged in the first 4.5 rounds. Like, I've never seen that many receivers go off the board in a mock draft that we've done together. So because that's happening, I need to readjust how I'm going to draft myself, right? Gator says, I guess I should have asked how big of a separation between Cooper, Kupp, and Puka. Puka is one of those names for me that I'll probably pass on because I can take Kupp in round 3, whereas like Tyreek and Chase, I won't pass just because I can get like a Waddle or a Higgins later. Who's winning the draft so far? Honestly, I think 369 is. Like, he didn't take Stroud early. Stroud's got a 5th round ADP to get him in the 8th round. I'd say him. All he needs is those running backs to hold up for him. All right, I'm on the clock here. Damn, man. Like the wide receiver position went so quick. Like there isn't a pick so far where it's felt like it's the right choice. We'll grab Javonte Williams here. Like the reports out of camp are pretty positive. I'm going to open my mind to him being the guy there. It's probably the wrong pick, but Style says agreed. Feels like a lot of reaching in this mock. Style says just salty. I got sniped on Zamir, to be honest. So Styles wanted Zamir probably at the 7-11. Always open, baby. What's up, Aiden? He says, do I go Andrews or reach on Kincaid if I already have Josh Allen? To me, if you're asking like between those two, I don't think taking Kincaid over Andrews is a reach. I would have Kelsey, Laporta, McBride, Andrews, Kincaid in the same tier personally. So if there's a name you prefer, like it's not like I'm at if I'm about to take a tight end and I'm choosing between Andrews or Kincaid, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna reach here for Kincaid. That's not how I personally feel. I think they have a very similar range of outcome. Now, you could certainly state that there's more security with Andrews because we've seen him be the feature piece of an offense. So if you want to go that way with security, I totally understand it, but I don't think it's a reach, personally. But I do definitely understand if you want to make the case that like Andrews is a safer pick if you want a tight end. .369 says, love me some Andre this year. Brissett is a dump-off queen. I like it. I'm sorry, Ryan. Payne, I appreciate you. He says, man, you are my new favorite fantasy YouTube guy. That's what I want to be put on my gravestone. Someone's favorite fantasy YouTube guy. All right? I'm officially locking it in. Put it on the gravestone. He says, I play full PPR 10-man. It's one quarterback. So in that format, would you say grabbing a quarterback tight end matters the most? You know what's funny, Payne? Is the question you are asking me, I literally have a video coming out for you that addresses this exact question. On your guys' Monday morning, I wanted to follow up my strategy video because people had a lot of really good questions, and they were saying like, what if I'm in a 10-man, an 8-man? What if I'm in half PPR? What if I start 3 receivers? So I actually created a database for you guys that I basically like the importance of position based off of your format. So if you're in an 8-man and you're in a start 7, I'll tell you how important every position is. If you're in a 12-man, start 10, I'll tell you how important every position is to me in a draft. So hopefully that makes sense, but there's a video coming out soon that's going to cover that exact topic that you have a question about. So yeah. All right. Looking at the receivers, I still can't get in, to be honest with you guys. There's still not a receiver that you can convince me of falling in love with at this pick. So it's going to be running back again. And I guess we'll just, if it's naturally going to happen for us, we'll cover off Kyren Williams with Blake Corum there. And by the way, guys, if you want your teams reviewed, let's say you've already drafted, it's a best ball league for redraft, or let's say it's in August and you want your team reviewed. We offer we offer team reviews when you become a Mother Flocker member on the Flock Fantasy website. Have to be a yearly member. You'll get a free voucher when you sign up. So check out the comment I put in the chat right there. It's got a direct link if you want your team to be reviewed by us on the stream. Rashid Shaheed is good. I agree, Christian. NMB doesn't like the neighbor's pick. You guys are funny. Round 9 Burrow. Style says he's screaming. Zach says, I love taking shots late round running backs. Brooks, Benson, White, Moss. Same. All those running backs you just mentioned, I'm a huge fan of those guys this year. Especially because of their price. And I will say, I have no problems being buried by the community for this, but I'm like 1,000% in on Zeke Elliott this year. Like, I know that sounds insane, but I think there's plenty of like rationale to be in on Zeke on a top 5 offense in the NFL with nobody at running back to really compete with him. I mean, sure, you could say Rico Dowdle's there. I guess I'll take a quarterback now. I was waiting for a while. I mean, y'all kept letting him come off the board. And I guess we'll go ahead and we'll grab Dak Prescott here, who averaged top 5 points per game last year in the 11th round. But talking about Zeke Elliott, one thing that the Cowboys really missed last year was goal line efficiency from their back. Tony Pollard had, I think it was like 16 attempts inside the 5-yard line. And Tony Pollard converted on 12% of those attempts. Like, truly awful on the goal line. Meanwhile, Zeke, even last year in New England, was converting at a 40% rate. The year before that, his last year in Dallas, he had, I think, the second most goal line attempts in the NFL, and he converted them on a 48% rate. I think if you were to ask me, who's this year's Gus Edwards? It's Zeke Elliott, man. Attached to a really good offense, going to be in the red zone a lot, can fall into 10 touchdowns. Just because he's old, I mean, so was Gus Edwards. I think Zeke could have a big year, and it's going to piss a lot of people off, but he's one of my favorite picks in the later rounds. In fact, I was thinking about taking him over Javonte Williams at the 905. That's how in I am on him. Joel says, I will say Flock community waits too long on elite quarterbacks. I think there's, like, you could definitely make that case in some formats for sure. Hey, Slayton, thanks for becoming a member, man, on the YouTubes here. I appreciate you, man. Aiden says, I'm also asking because Andrews didn't get picked before you went Kincaid. Would you have went Andrews? Well, I'm actually here at the 5 spot, so I went McBride at the 408. But yeah, the reason I went McBride there again is I didn't personally think, I read the board, and at that time, Team 4, Team 3, Team 2, and Team 1, none of them had a tight end. And I felt like tight ends were in a range where they were more valuable than the wide receivers on the board. So I felt concerned that if I didn't grab one, I didn't think they'd be there at the 505. And ultimately, that is what happened. Now, who's to say if I triggered a tight end run? But yeah, Styles says I took 2 Panther wide receivers. Gross. Good thing this isn't a real league unless we make it one. That's funny. Scribbles. What's up, Slayton, man? He says in a 12-team PPR league, starting with Brees and A-Chain, would I be crazy to take Gibbs at the 107, or do I need to grab A.J. Brown? So I'm guessing this is a keeper league, right? This sounds like a keeper league to me. I mean, look, I would take A.J. Brown. I wouldn't take Marvin over A.J. I would take A.J. Brown there personally. Especially if you already are going to have Brees and A-Chan on your team. But I can't sit here and tell you Gibbs is a wrong pick. I mean, Gibbs is like one of 3 running backs who could truly go for 1,000 and 1,000, right? 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving yards. So I can't sit here and tell you it's the wrong pick. You know? It certainly could pay off for you. Are we sure Jerry Jeudy's dead? Oh, dealing with a leg issue. That's all I need to see. Yep, he's dead. We'll grab Jermaine Burton here in the 12th round. The timing on that could not have been more perfect. That you couldn't have planned that out better if you tried. Slayton says, yes, it is a keeper. Okay. Yeah, personally, I'd probably go A.J. Brown there myself. Come get Zeke and Goff Styles. I'm not buying him in Dynasty, but because of his price in redraft drafts, I'm in. Know what I'm saying? I am watching Deadpool tonight, but my wife just told me that she got invited to go to a concert, so I'll ask her if she's going to ditch me. I really want to see it. Okay. Let's go ahead and start to set up the next mock draft. I mean, remember, I already owe you guys a second mock draft from the last stream where we hit our like goal. So let's go ahead and set it up. And what I want to do is I want to ask you if we should do one quarterback or super flex for the next one. There's no wrong answer, okay? All I want you to tell me is super flex, one quarterback. Just type it into the chat. However many people say whatever format is what we'll do for the next one, all right? So super flex or one quarterback. There's no wrong answer. All right, after I take Jermaine Burton, we see Vidal, Pat, Dobbins, Douglas, Tracy, Mike, Gabe, Troy. I mean, like, this is such an interesting mock draft because it's the first time this year where it's felt like from round 5 onwards, the best pick is running back. Like, just based off of, like, what's been available to me, the way you guys are drafting around us, it's really strange. It felt like every pick from round 5 onwards, like, running back felt like the best pick to me. Yes, Judy is dead. Okay. Yes, I do have a wifey. We just had our 5-year anniversary. I am... How old do you guys think I am? I want to know. Everyone's like, wow, no one really cares, bro. Just tell us how old you are. I'm just curious. In my videos, in our live streams, how old do I come off? Like, how old am I perceived to be? That's what I want to know. All right, so we got one vote for Superflex, one quarterback, one quarterback, one quarterback, Superflex, one quarterback, one quarterback, one quarterback. We'll do another one quarterback then. We'll do another one quarterback. You know what's interesting in NB? You're not wrong. Like, ESPN and Sleeper's ADPs are very different. But I actually did some research for my next video that I was talking about earlier that comes out on Monday. And oddly enough, like, if you look across ESPN, Yahoo, CBS, Sleeper, if you look at the first 46 picks, how many quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends are taken in ADP, it's like very close. And the same can be said in like the top 12, the top 24, the top 36. So the amount of players at the certain positions going off the board is like very close, if not the same. It's just which players are going off the board. Like, for example, on ESPN, Isaiah Pacheco is a locked and loaded, I think mid-second round pick. Right here, he falls a lot to the third. So you're right, like the ADPs are different, but what I found super interesting in research is when you're trying to pull off a strategy, the positions on Sleeper and how quickly they normally go based off ADP is not that different to ESPN or Yahoo or CBS or any one of those. It's pretty interesting. But also, I wouldn't use this mock draft that we're doing here as like a good representation of what to expect, because this doesn't feel like a typical home league or mock draft, if that makes sense. I guess I'll take Antonio Gibson here. Like I said, it feels like every pick, running back is the best value. Sunraker thinks I'm 27. Scribble says 45 years young. Style says 30. Brandon says 25. WG says 33. 369 says 28. Yeetman says 32. 28. All right, so on average, if you look at the people who guessed, and I'll remove the 45-year guess. On average, you guys think I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 33? That doesn't sound right. 1, 2. Oh, oops. On average, you guys think I am... God, math is hard. You guys think I'm 28.8 years old. So on average, I feel pretty good about that. I am 30. Slayton says 62 emotionally, 26 physically. I think that's a compliment. That sounds like a compliment to me. He says, you're wise beyond your years, son. He looked me in the eye, gave me a handshake, and said, son, you're going to be something one day. You're going to make your mama proud. All right. God, ADP has been so gross every pick. Like, I've never been less satisfied by every pick from like round 6 onwards ever in a draft before. So yes, I am 30 years old. So yes, 30 years old, and I mean, according to Slayton, and I'm gonna go ahead and take that, 62 years old maturity wise. All right. I mean, my wife would probably not agree. What's up, Bro Sports? He says, Zach, who's your wide receiver 1 this year in PPR? To me, it is CeeDee Lamb. But I don't think... I really think you can make a case for like 3 or 4 guys, but it would be CD for me. Just with what he did last year, they didn't really bring in anyone to compete with him for targets. I've said this before. I would not be surprised at all, and I'm not projecting it, but I would not be surprised at all if CeeDee Lamb ends up with like 200 targets. I think there's been like 3 or 4 receivers in the history of the league that's had 200 targets. Calvin Johnson's one of them. I would not be surprised if CeeDee Lamb ends up joining that group this year. All right, let's see. We're going to kick off another mock for you guys. If you want to join this mock, very simple, join the Discord. I'll put a link in the chat. Once you're in the Discord, all right, you're going to see on the left side of the screen a Fantasyland tab with the orange footballs. And in announcements is where I'll send the link. All right, and I just said right here so you guys can see that. So we are going to do another one quarterback. It's what you guys voted for in the chat. And I will go ahead and put that link for you to join me. Where should I mock from? Where did I mock? I mocked at the 5. Let's mock at the 10 spot then. We'll mock at the 10 spot. All right. First come, first serve. Go ahead and get on in there, lads. My real guess is 27-28. Aiden, hopefully that helps. Bro, 369 says, bro, probably 24 to 25. Brandon says, I thought you were younger. Scribble says, wow. Sunraker's 30 as well. You look great. No Diddy. I appreciate you. Oh, no Diddy. Why is that a thing now? Why is that a thing? All right. Same format as before. PPR, tight end premium. 1 quarterback. All right. Let's get this thing popping. I know, it's 369. I did not want to take that many running backs. You guys know me. That's not what I wanted to do at all. But it just felt like at every pick, running back was the right choice. And I guess we're going to be flexing in running backs in that league. That was really strange. Okay, Bijan goes at the 101. Look, I guess you can make the case that Bijan's not going to come back to you. If you really think he's going to be the most valuable player in fantasy this year, then you would want to lock him up. It would still be CMC for me, but that doesn't mean that it's the wrong pick at all. So we see Bijan at the 101, then Lamb, Hill, and CMC falls to the 104. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. When I'm with you, all I get is wild thoughts. Y'all low-key crazy, man. Y'all low-key crazy, dog. Cheese me, dog. Don't cheese me. NMB says, why does it say 4 likes? I think you just got to refresh. Sometimes it doesn't update live. And this is the perfect start that we wanted here. Grabbing AJ Brown at the 110. I love it, love it, love it. We're hopefully going to be able to do the strategy we want. I am not Rihanna, no. Okay, I can confirm, not Rihanna. When was the last time the number 1 pick was number 1 pick the year after? No, it's a good point. It's a good point. I think, if I'm not mistaken, CeeDee Lamb did it last year, though, no? Wait, didn't CeeDee Lamb do it last year? Or, sorry, CMC. Didn't CMC just do it? Okay, so like I always say, what I would like to do is anchor a running back in round 2. But I have to now choose between Etienne, Achane, Henry when Garrett Wilson's on the board. I'm not going to pass up on Garrett Wilson just to do a specific strategy that I want to try. Right? Like, that's not how I'm going to operate. I am going to take the best player available at each pick, and hopefully I can pull off the strategy I want to based off of the way my league drafts. And that's the same thing you guys should do as well, right? But we do go Garrett Wilson there at the 203. Then Marvin Harrison comes off the board. Like I said, wanted to do anchor round 2 running back, but it just didn't make sense with the players available. CMC wasn't the year before. Was that like on a points per game basis he wasn't 1? Or the finish? I thought you meant like number 1 in ADP. I thought that's what you guys were talking about. Because I thought CMC was number 1 ADP. Alright, so this is 2024. This is this year. In 2023, it was Jefferson and CMC. In 2022, it was Taylor and CMC. So yeah, but there is one constant there. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be fair, I get it. There is one constant though. You know what I'm saying? In that top 2. Badaki's currently on vacation right now. He is in New York, showing his family his Bobby. All right, so the second round goes Oh, wow. I just realized Kyron went the 201. I don't know why. I just realized that. Okay, Taylor, Wilson, Harrison, Adams, Henry, Etienne, Achane, London, Ayuk, Olave, Evans, Debo, Nico Collins, yeah, but Badaki is showing his Bobby to his family. Sunraker says, when CMC is all said and done, his numbers will be some of the best ever. Yeah. As like a pure weapon, I agree. He probably won't have the rushing numbers that some of the greats will, but as a pure weapon and total production, I agree. So Stephon Diggs goes at the 303. Then Travis Kelce. Remember last time the tight ends lasted till round 4. We now see Kelce at the 304. That's more what we're used to seeing, though, to be honest. Especially in a premium. Even in a non-premium, I feel like that's what we see is the tight ends go round 3, but let's see. Okay, so there goes Mark Andrews off the board. And this is why I always state strategies are pointless if your league drafts in a way that's not how you're used to drafting. And when I say, I'm not saying anyone's doing anything wrong, but for example, in the mock that we just had, you know, Andrews went at the 502. And that was a really good value. I'm not saying that this is like a bad pick whatsoever, right? But what I'm saying is everyone's going to draft so differently in your leagues. Try to execute a strategy. Don't be too stuck on it either that you miss out on good players. And I tried to say that in the strategy video that I released, but some people didn't watch all the way through. And a lot of people are just angry that you release strategy videos. They're like, strategies are stupid. Just draft the best players. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're all trying to do that, brother. We're all trying to draft the best players. All right, we're going to anchor our RB room in round 3. And we're going to do it around Josh Jacobs here at the 310. We'll grab Josh Jacobs at the 310. I agree with the notion that he's not going to get used the way he was in Vegas. Totally agree. But I do think we have to consider the offense that he's now a part of. I think the 5 years that Josh Jacobs was in Vegas, 4 out of the 5 years he was on a bottom half of the league offense in scoring. He's now joining an offense that scored the 8th most points per game in Jordan Love's first ever season as a starter. I really like to lock up a tight end, but I feel like there's too much value at wide receiver here. So we'll grab Devonta Smith as our wide receiver 3. Oh, shit. Sorry. Just so people don't yell at me later, I'm going to switch that pick because I just realized I have A.J. Brown. Wouldn't do that in a real draft, obviously. But there Devonta Smith goes off the board. Sunraker, I know, right? Joel says, I love Jacobs this season. Lloyd already banged up. Corrupt commissioner. Call him out. Call me out. No, I think Jacobs is a good pick. I really do. I mean, he goes late 3rd, early 4th sometimes. And I think he'll have the most red zone touches he's had in his career. Not touches. I'll say this, like, I think there's a chance he scores the most rushing touchdowns he has since that season where he blew up. We know he's not going to catch a touchdown, right? He's never had a receiving touchdown in his career. But he scored 12 touchdowns in 2020. As crazy as it might sound, I think 12 is in the cards this year. I really think 12 touchdowns is on the cards for Josh Jacobs in that offense. Yeah, I agree, 369. NMB says, I like the 8th round running backs over the 4th to 7th round running backs, even without ADP. Same with the wide receivers for me. So are you just drafting straight quarterback tight end in those rounds? What are you doing then? Joel says, I've got the hero wide receiver strategy. What is he rocking with right now? Amon-Ra, Etienne, Pacheco, Kincaid. All right, so in the 4th round, we see 3 tight ends, 3 quarterbacks. Alvin Kamara falls to the 412. Rachaad White to the 411 is kind of crazy, guys. Like, that's kind of bonkers, actually. That's kind of bonkers to me. Is Neighbors going to be a 2nd round pick by the end of August? Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, when he was going comfortably round 4 or 5, I was all over it. I was like, that is my pick. I still would be comfortable taking him at the 310 where I took Jacobs. But if he starts like pushing up to like Evans, Olave, London range, then I'm going to have to be out. And I probably like Malik Neighbors in Dynasty more than anyone. But have to be realistic. Have to be realistic. What's up, Ty? Ty says, are you going to do more mocks after this one? If we reach our like goal, this is our second mock. I got a like goal of 85 likes. I'll be honest, right now, it doesn't look like we'll reach that. But if we reach 85 likes, I will absolutely pop off another mock draft for you guys. So if you want another mock, just hit that like button. Man, it really feels... I don't want to say this name. Wait. Okay. It really feels like... Ooh, I don't want to say his name yet. Okay, I'm not going to say his name yet. All right. Chill. Chill. Say my name. We'll grab Aaron Jones here at the 5'10". I'm not afraid to draft Aaron Jones. I know a lot of people are. Okay, so look at this, guys. All the tight ends go off the board earlier than last round or last mock. And I'll be honest, like this, the way this mock went feels like what I normally see. This feels normal. What we saw last mock doesn't feel as normal to me. Okay, there he goes off the board. Rashee Rice. It feels like he's not going to get suspended this year. It feels like he is going the Alvin Kamara route where like he deals with a suspension in the next year. That's what it feels like to me. All right, so Rice, Keenan, Reed all off the board. And look, like I don't really like taking this position early, but if you guys are going to leave these quarterbacks on the board, I'll take Lamar Jackson in the 6th round. I love late round quarterback. But if Lamar Jackson's in round 6, yeah, I'll take the MVP in round 6. You know what I'm saying? So Aiden says, fine, I'll like it. Shake my head. Ty says, gotta smash that like button. You guys are funny, man. You guys are funny. Oh, we did just get a super chat. Cameron says, yo, startup slow draft. Just finished 9th round sitting at Dak, Baker, May, Knicks. So 4 quarterbacks. I'm guessing this is super flex. At running back, you have Swift. At wide receiver, you have CD, Puka, Zay, Kirk. At tight end, you have Kincaid. Cameron, that feels eerily similar to a type of team I would have drafted. It sounds like this is a super flex league. It sounds like this is a league with maybe your home league. And they just tried Superflex for the first time, and you saw quarterbacks falling down the board, so you took advantage of it, and you'll trade some of them later. But that kind of sounds like how I might draft myself in a startup Superflex. So, yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. The Chargers head coach, Greg Roman, or offensive coordinator, Greg Roman on Kamani Vidal, extremely productive, maximizes runs, really good vision. His brain and feet are kind of connected quickly. When he sees something, his feet are moving right there. Once we get the pads on, we'll see more. All right, so literally like nothing. Just nothing. From 32 beat writers, Aaron Jones looks super quick out there. He could be in line for a big year. And this is the key if he can stay healthy, which is fair. Chargers training camp update. Okay, Ladd McConkey goes off the board, so I can talk about this. One of my favorite picks this year. Ladd McConkey is repping first team offensive drills. Quentin is still working with the second team. Padaki's not going to want to hear that. That's not going to be what he's looking to hear. But unfortunately, it is true. Quentin's working with the second team. That's sad, man. That's sad. That's sad for Quentin, man. But every day, it's like a different report on Quentin Johnston. Hey, it's like every other day, it's like, nope. He's got a lot to work on. And then the next day, it's like, actually, he got a bad rap. He's a great receiver from this. So the coaching staff is just Back and forth, back and forth. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Do you know how much 3 vasectomies does to a man? Okay, so Reed, Keenan, Jackson, Deontay, James Conner, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Roma Dunze, David Montgomery, Luke McConkey, Lad McConkey, Evan Ingram, Brian Thomas, Ramondre Stevenson, all off the board. Callum says, I don't think Rice's court hearing is till December. Yeah. Yeah, so he probably won't be suspended this year. I love the JSN pick. Hey, J-Mac is kind of cooking in the kitchen right now. Y'all letting J-Mac cook in the kitchen, my guy. He's going hard in the paint. Hard in the paint. Sparrow says, I won't lie. I didn't even know JSN was available. Be careful. Gots to read the board. Yeah, I agree. Way too low on ADP. I agree. Superflex tight end premium. Great job, Cameron. Great job, man. Last year, I had a Superflex league. I got Allen and Hurts at the 9 and 16. In a Superflex league? In a Superflex league, those guys should have been like one of the first 3 picks off the board. That's wild, my guy. That is wild. Should we stop using my guy, by the way? Like, should we stop saying my guy, my guy? Is it overused? Is it out of date, my guy? What do you think? I don't know. Maybe it's time to retire my guy, my guy. DeAndre Swift comes off the board. Christian Watson, and I will take Xavier Worthy here. I feel like he's the last receiver in a tier I really, really like as like a upside sneaky pick. Nah, it's out of date, my guy. I agree, my guy. I agree. Save my home Skilly Biscuit. Oh, no. 369 says, who do you prefer in the wide receiver room, Kansas City, Rice or Hollywood? If I knew Rice was playing 17 games, Rice. Easily. Not even close for me, personally. All right, well, that's really unfortunate. Maybe I shouldn't have said Worthy was the last receiver in a tier for me, because 3 running backs go off the board, and literally all the running backs that I wanted, like every single one of them, were the running backs I wanted to draft. So, looks like joke's on me. Joke's on me there. A-Rich in the 8th round, I will say, guys, like, A-Rich in the 8th round is kind of chaotic. Like, there's a realistic outcome here where A-Rich finishes as the quarterback 1 in fantasy this year. I don't think that's crazy to say. I'll take Brock Bowers here at the 803. Is that crazy to say? I don't think it is. If he can stay healthy, there's a realistic outcome. A-Rich is the #1 scoring quarterback in fantasy. So, to me, like, I'm not taking him round 5 where he typically goes, but round 8 is crazy. So, Warren and Swift come off the board. Warren and Swift off the board. Remember, light goal is 85 if you guys want another mock draft. We're at 53 right now, so we're about 30 or so likes away from our light goal. So if you do want to see another mock draft today, then go ahead and smash that like button. If you don't, it's all right. No pressure. I got to go edit some videos anyway. But I'd like to hang out, of course. Do you like Zamir or Moss better? I prefer Moss, but I have them in the same tier. Excuse me. So whoever falls further. Rice wasn't that good last year. Um, I mean, I can't really disagree more, to be honest, but again, I guess like this is what makes fantasy so great. Like we all have different opinions. But yeah, I couldn't really disagree more with the statement that Rice wasn't good last year. In fact, I know this from research. He had the second best rookie wide receiver season ever for a Kansas City Chief. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jeremy Maclin's the only one who to have a better rookie wide receiver season, especially when you consider like learning the Andy Reid offense. Yeah, I think Rashee Rice had the best season any of us could have ever hoped for. But again, that's just like my opinion. But he became a starter, or he wasn't playing 50% or more of the snaps from weeks 1 to 6. But from week 7 onwards, he finally became a starter for this team. And I mean, there's very few wide receivers you prefer over Rashee Rice second half of the season. So I don't know, man. I don't really fully agree. Rashee Rice from week 7 onwards, again, when he became a starter, averaged 15.5 points per game. Rashee Rice averaged more points per game from week 7 onwards last year than A.J. Brown. He averaged more points per game than Devonta Smith. He averaged more points per game than Brandon Ayuk, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Garrett Wilson. I don't know, man. Like, I guess I don't understand what you mean. How much better could Rice have been last year? What were you guys looking for him that he didn't give you, I guess? Because I thought he had an incredible year. NMB says that offense is just not fantasy friendly besides Kelsey. I mean, yeah, again, I just don't really agree. I'm not sure how we can say that when outside of last year, there's been incredible fantasy gold throughout this offense every year. If you remove last year, which is pretty much the outlier where this offense has been mediocre, and one of the reasons is because they didn't really have many weapons outside of Rice and Kelsey. And by the way, the weapons they had, very good. Rice and Kelsey, both guys you wanted to start. Kelsey, tied in 1 on a points per game basis. But if you look at previous seasons when they've had good weapons, they've been incredible. Pat Mahomes averaged almost over 24 points per game 2 years ago. Pacheco, what was he, a top 12 guy this year? I can't remember. Kelsey was a tight end 1. Rashee Rice, week 7 onwards, top 15 wide receiver. I guess I just don't really understand. I don't really agree. I did take Zeke at the 9-10. I got no problem pushing my boy up the board slightly. We gotta make sure the ADP stays down a little bit, but we did take Brock Bowers there, so we don't really need to look at tight end here. And as much as I hate to say it, I still think running back's the best value on the board, and we'll grab Devin Singletary, who is going to be on an awful offense, but he will be the starter for that team. NMB says there isn't much consistency with it because Mahomes will use everyone. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I've said my piece on it, but I just don't understand that narrative, to be honest. If you look at Mahomes' career, when he's had good players on his team, those players have been so good for fantasy, like incredibly good for fantasy football. I guess if you're using a sample size from when his wide receiver 1 was Kadarius Toney, then it's not going to look very good. But yeah, I just don't understand the narrative. Yeah, true, Cuppy. Pacheco's been very, very good as well. Very, very good. And I think I'll just go out there on a limb for Rashee Rice as well. Exactly. Brandon is kind of like going where I'm going. Rice has something to prove this year, right? He's been completely destroyed throughout the offseason by the media, by everyone on social media, the media. And I mean, look, if a player shows you who they are on the field, believe them, right? If Kadarius Toney shows you on the field that he's not a reliable receiver, believe him. If Rashee Rice goes out in an Andy Reid offense and learns it so quick and has the second best rookie season ever from a Chiefs wide receiver, believe he's good. Believe him. You know what I mean? So, and look, the last thing I'll say is like Worthy and Rice, to me, I don't see it as like a subtraction from Rashee Rice. I don't think they play anywhere near the same role, right? Like Hollywood, Worthy, I get that. They play a very similar role, or what I project their roles to be in the offense, or what Worthy could become. But neither Hollywood or Xavier give you what Rice gives you over the middle of the field. So yeah, I really can't understand that narrative, but I can respect the conviction. Mike says, don't sleep on Xavier. No, I like Xavier, man. I drafted him here at the 7-10. If he falls that far, I'll draft him for sure. Joel says, make this a real league, Zach. Nah. No. I actually like my team, though. I like what we were able to pull off here. NMB says, I just think Hollywood's good. Right. I guess what I don't understand is, okay, so you're saying you don't want Rice's ADP to get too high. So it sounds like you're in on Rashee Rice. Now I'm trying to figure out where you're going here, bro. You're taking me on a treasure hunt and I don't have a map. But, okay, so I definitely hear you. You're saying because Worthy is there, because Hollywood's there, we shouldn't expect Rice to be the guy he was last year. And I guess my rebuttal is, if those guys weren't there, Rashee Rice is probably a second-round pick in fantasy drafts. Like, I think you're asking the question, Rashee Rice or Drake London. I think you're asking Rashee Rice or Mike Evans, right? But that's not his ADP right now. Brandon says, off topic, but where would Rice have gone in Dynasty rookie drafts this year if he was available? It's a good question. Look, if you're telling me that we already knew Worthy was a Chief, I'd say he'd go in like the range of where Ladd McConkey went. I'd say late first, early second, that range. If you're telling me that Worthy didn't go to Kansas City, where would Rice go? I think he would go ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. Callum says, who do you see as the RB1 for the Chargers? Gus Edwards. I think it's his job unless he goes down with an injury. All right. We don't really care so much about position here. We'll grab any player. And look at me. Look at me. Look at us taking Josh Downs. Who would have thought? Who would have thought we'd be the Josh Downs guy in redraft leagues? Been called the Josh Downs hater on our Dynasty channel. But somehow we're the Josh Downs guy in redraft. Joel is feeling his build right now. I love the Jaden Daniels pick there for sure. It's a nice build. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, I don't mind that NMB. I love Ladd this year. I definitely do. And, you know, there might be some people who draft Ladd, and let's say he doesn't get off to like the strongest start that they want, and then you can trade for him too. So I will target him in drafts. Absolutely. But I will also be open to the idea of like him falling to me. I'll grab Marshawn Lloyd here as the handcuff to Jacobs in the 3rd round. Aiden says, why didn't the guy who went Andrews pick Lamar for the stack? I guess he might just have Mahomes in a higher tier, and that's what he wanted. I don't know. Love it, Sparrow. Scribble says Ballard talks Downs up whenever he can. Yeah, he does love him. He does love him some Josh Downs, don't he? He's a big fan of Josh Downs. Here's the thing, though, right? Like, they're not going to not talk any of those guys up. So, like, it's Pittman, Adonai, Downs. Who's the odd man out? Who's the odd man out? Because for fantasy, it's unlikely both Downs and Adonai can be the dude. Right, like, not the guy. That's Pittman, but... NMB says, what are your thoughts on the Chargers backfield? I think Gus will be the first half. Vidal will be the second. The way I view it is I'm willing to, like in a 0 RB build, I'm willing to take Gus Edwards. Kind of what Kid with Steez did a little bit. Right? Gus is his 3rd running back. I actually don't mind that at all. And with the expectations that I can start him to begin the season. Now, Kamani Vidal, I would not be surprised if he develops a role. But I am of the opinion that probably Gus Edwards is the RB2 on this team. I think Greg Roman really likes Gus Edwards. I think Greg Roman really wants to see Gus Edwards succeed. And even if Gus and Vidal are like on the same level, understanding of the offense, talent-wise, efficiency, I think they will favor J.K. Dobbins just because I think Greg Roman wants to see him win in life. He's seen the dude go through hell and back. So overall, I'm willing to take any of them late, but I will just tell you guys that as much as I like Vidal as a sleeper, we should have no expectations for him. Like, no expectations should be the right expectations. If you look at running backs drafted in round 6, historically, the last decade, they have a 3.2% hit rate in their rookie contract. And that's the worst of any round. Like, round 6 is the worst hit rate for a fantasy running back in the NFL draft. Worse than any other round, including round 7. So, we should have very low expectations. But I will say, if Vidal's like my last pick, I don't mind it, you know? I don't mind it at all. And I'll just say this as well. Like, nothing would surprise me either. It wouldn't surprise me if Vidal ends up being like a dude there for them. But my expectations are that it's Gus's job and Dobbins is the number 2. However, as we have seen in Baltimore many years, both of those guys could go down with an injury. It's very possible. Wookie. What's up, Wookie? He says, let's just agree that Rashee Rice is a piece of but that's not the question. He's the top 24 wide receiver in 2024. Yeah, right? It's like, you know, we all agree that the dude's made some mistakes and he's definitely not lived up to the expectations we as a community have placed on him. But he's a damn good football player. I think we can agree. I mean, he was like a crucial part of a Kansas City championship, you know? Fudge, I don't even know what to do. I can't believe I just drafted Marvin Mims. That was a panic pick. Oh, Rashad Bateman's a nice pick there, actually. Brandon says, breakout for Dotson possible? Absolutely, it's possible. I mean, he's talented, man. He's talented. What I will say is I watched all the Washington games last year, obviously. And he did play pretty poorly. Like, look, Sam Howell isn't the best quarterback. So there was a lot of questionable throws. But he did drop a lot of passes you would expect him to catch. And that was quite frustrating. A little bit heart-wrenching. I don't typically do this, but I'll take Caleb there. I just don't feel like anyone was screaming value to me. But yeah, super talented dude. Like, yeah, he can. I don't think he can be like a Devonta Smith per se. If this offense becomes really good, who's like a good comparison that I could say? Not even like a T. Higgins fantasy scoring wise, but okay. How about this? What Jacoby Myers did last year. What Jacoby Myers did last year in Vegas. I think Dotson could do something similar. I'll say that. I think he could mean that to this offense if he holds up his end of the bargain. New favorite strategies to take Connor and Benson and Gus and Vidal to hedge the bet. I don't mind that. I like that. Gus the bust, 20 tuds incoming. Yeah, exactly, NMB. Callum says, did you see what Dobbins said about this year? He said something special is coming. My money is he's injured by week 3. I just want to see, I just want to see him succeed. I just want to see him be successful. Is that too much to ask for? Maybe. Sparrow says Marvin Mims could be huge when return yards get implemented. Yeah. You know, I was talking to Badaki about that, and I was like, could this change the way we draft in fantasy? As in, okay, so we'll find out how important kick returning actually is. I think it will be important. Will we assign a kick returner position in your fantasy lineup? That's my question, right? So right now you think about it, you start a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, you have a flex. What if we also added a designated kick returner position? And whoever's in that position will find out a way to make their fantasy points make sense. Right? I mean, that could be cool. I mean, Rashid Shaheed, he would be drafted so high, so much higher than he is if we had that. Wookie says he was not available as, say, Bill Vinovich, but he was the true KC MVP. Not as valuable, sorry. Yeah. NMB says last year went 0 RB, took him at the 9th first RB. Luckily, I drafted Kyron and Achane later. I love that. Love that. Kidwood Steez is going Jake Bobo. I love that. That's a dynasty shout out. The people in Seattle love Jake Bobo. And I'm not from Seattle. I don't know. I'm just telling you because anytime I talk about him on our Dynasty channel, people love Jake Bobo from Seattle. Herbert goes off the board. Watson goes off the board. I'm going to surprise y'all with my next pick. Y'all not ready for this next pick. Scribble says your boy Jalen McMillan getting some hype. Yes, sir. Y'all remember what I said before the draft? I said whoever gets Jalen McMillan will get the steal of the entire NFL draft. No matter what the position is. I think the Bucs did that. We're going to draft the human Dortch with our last pick. What are the odds this offense is really good? What are the odds Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and this offense is firing on all cylinders? Why not take the boy Greg Dortch? Even just for morale. We need someone who's like in the nitty gritty, from the bootstraps up, blue collar type of worker in our locker room. And that's what we got there with our last pick. It's an investment into team morale. It's an investment into development, accountability. Projections for DK. I can actually look at my projections for DK. I definitely have him projected for a pretty solid season. Let's have a look here. So DK Metcalf, we have projected to hit 90 receptions. I think they'll throw the ball a lot. That's why I think he'll see an uptick in receptions. 90 receptions, over 1,100 yards and 8 tuds. And honestly, that feels like conservative to me. If the offense actually changes the way that they say it's going to change, that feels conservative to me. Wookie says leagues may have to shift kick return stats to individual players rather than defense. Yeah, it will be interesting. All right, guys, we didn't reach the like goal. That's okay though. I do appreciate you guys big time. And let's just end the stream with some Q&A. I'll answer the first 5 questions in the first 5 questions alone. So feel free to hit me up with whatever questions you've got. NMB says I have 90, 1,208. So very close. Yeah, we're very close on his projections this year then. I am still taking Waddle over him. I guess like Waddle's already in the offense we want Seattle to be in. You know what I mean? Like our best case scenario is that Seattle implements the offense in Miami as far as how much they throw, and how many receiving yards they typically get as a team. So I will still take Waddle. I think he was really unfortunate last year with injuries, but it's close. Joel says, when will the new league draft order happen? Okay, so important. If you want to get into a redraft league with us, we have 4 spots available. And I'm telling you right now, those spots will only be going to people who are yearly Mother Flocker members, or yearly Mother Flocker members, or they're already existing Mother Flocker members with the promo code LAND. That will only be considered. You know, you can only get into the raffle if you're a LAND Mother Flocker member on the Flock Fantasy website. I did just put a direct link in the chat. It's in the description as well. So if you're interested, then make sure you sign up and become a yearly Mother Flocker. Once you do sign up, feel free to DM me on Discord. Okay, so again, Flock Fantasy website, gotta be a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. I put a link in the chat, it's in the description. Once you sign up, feel free to DM me over on Discord. But if you link your Discord, you will see the Fantasy Hotline tab, and there's a link here that will allow you to sign up to the raffle, okay? And then we'll raffle off some spots. All right. So, like I said, 5 leagues, or 5 questions and 5 questions only. Let's start here. Devonta Smith or DK? I have them in the same tier. My heart says DK. My projections say Devonta. Yeah. My heart does say DK, but my projections do say Devonta. That's a really good question. I'm going to have to really figure that one out. I mean, what version of Jalen Hurts will we get this year? What version of Devonta Smith will we get this year? You know what I mean? So, good question. Oh, Joel says I meant the Content Creator League. Okay, so that will happen in August. Like the week that we draft, we will film content, and there'll be some challenge where we determine draft order. Ben says, would you trade Trevor Lawrence for Higgins and Cousins in a Superflex Dynasty League? Lawrence is on your bench. Geez, that's a good question. How big is the league, though? Like, is it 10-man? Is it 12-man? Are you start 7 or 8? Are you start 10 or 11? That's what I need to know first. I'll look for your reply. Brandon says, how much higher do quarterbacks, tight ends go in a 10-man, would you say? Brandon, that's a great question, and I literally have a video coming out about that this Monday. The video is going to be titled The Secret to Winning All Your Fantasy Football Drafts. And basically what I'm talking about in that video is I will cover every type of format you'll see except for Superflex, okay? So we'll talk 8-man, 10-man, 12-man, 14-man, and we'll talk about the importance of every position. And I'll show you mock drafts with all those different formats. But overall, I'd say, yeah, in a 10-man, there are less people in your league. Wide receivers and running backs will fall further down the board. Therefore, you will get an advantage by having an elite tight end and quarterback. Zach says, thoughts on Devonta Smith? Heard he might play in the slot. That's why I'm struggling with that question. Because if he truly plays a slot role in a Kellen Moore offense, oh boy. And I think Devonta Smith can. That's the thing. Like, I think he's like, you know what I mean? Like, he can do that. So that's really what I'm so hungover on, is just like, damn, what if he actually does play the slot role in that offense? Because, what, are we like a year removed from Devonta Smith being a top 10 finish? I'm trying to remember. When was he... Let me go back for you guys. All right, so last year, Devonta Smith finishes as the wide receiver 19. But the year before that, Devonta Smith finishes as a wide receiver 9. Yeah. And that year, Christian Kirk was a my guy. Top 12 finish. You love to see it. Let's not talk about my misses, okay? NMB says, where do you have Kincaid? I feel like he could be the tight end 5 or the tight end 1. Yeah, he's in that tier for me. Of those top 5 names we talked about earlier, it's Kelsey, Laporta, McBride, Andrews, Kincaid. They're in the top 5 for me. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I actually do technically have Kyle Pitts in that tier too. So I should be honest, it is a top 6. It is a top 6 for me. Kyle Pitts is a part of that top 6. Holy hell, Jake Ferguson's my tight end 7? I didn't realize that. Anyway. Say less, Daniel Jones is your guy. Style says, someone other than CD and Fur got to catch passes. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm so high on Brandon Cooks this year. Because I don't really see like Flournoy breaking out, or what's his nuts from a couple years ago that got drafted. I can see his face. I can't remember his name. So I think it's Brandon Cooks, man. Brandon Cooks is the guy to draft late. Yeah, Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert. Ben says 10 teams, start 9. All right, in a 10 team, yeah, I'll go ahead and be comfortable to move on from Lawrence. What I would say is, ideally, if you do this trade, I'm hoping you can find a way to lock up Michael Penix as well, if you can figure that out. But overall, yes, I would be comfortable with that trade. Yeah, I like it, Ben. I like it. Gator says, in a deep super flex league, would you be willing to have Raheem Mostert be your RB2? I'd be comfortable with that if you're telling me that the rest of your starting lineup's filled out. Like, you already have 2 quarterbacks, you've got 4 receivers, a tight end you love, and then Raheem is your RB2 to your anchor. I'm fine with that. Jeremy says, what up, Zach? Made a trade today, sent Pop, Ford, and May for 25 first and McCarthy. Good possibility of being a top 3 pick. Yeah, overall, I like that. Overall, I like that deal because for me, Drake May and McCarthy were in the same tier of Dynasty rookie drafts. Obviously, I prefer May as a prospect, but prefer McCarthy's situation. And you get the first round pick. I like it. For context, first 5 selections were Dak, Puka, Henry, and Dell. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all, Gator fan. But all right, guys, that is the end of today's stream. I appreciate you guys big time. Thanks for hanging out with me. I am going to continue to stream college football over on my channel, the solo channel. So I'm going to put that link in the chat. And here's the deal. Give me about 5 to 10 minutes. I'll put a stream up on this channel. And we will continue to stream the Virginia Cavalier Dynasty. So I put it in the chat. If you would like to come hang out, feel free to. Otherwise, no pressure at all. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Enjoy your weekend. All love.